Tá the síolta she is a Filmbase at the moment, and my Irish is terrible. But the show is called Broken Croí or Heart Briste, and Manchán here and Eva are the stars of the show. And guys, thank you very much for doing this. Number one, it's an Irish class. At its very, very basis, we're all gone to an Irish class in Filmbase, where you're the Moon Tour, and you have a presence, shall we say? You're a colleague. We won't give too much away. It's a tough show. You're doing it in English and Irish.
Yeah. So that was the main idea was to see, could you put on a play that was at least 50% in Irish, but was virtually 100% understandable to English speaker, or maybe 82, 85%, because there's Irish language plays and then there's English language plays, but rarely are things done for people with a little bit of Irish. Yeah. And I realised the best way of surmounting those problems was set it in an Irish lesson, and it's a brilliant theatrical format because we all have ideas in our mind about classes, the intensity, the intimidation, so we play with some of those things in the show.
There is also, you have a wonderful, your character, which is you basically in one way, has a wonderful passion for the language. And you've certainly shown that with some of the playing on words that you did, like fear, and all that kind of, I think people would nearly have to see it. Where did the idea for the show come from?
Yeah, because I love that idea. Even the word far and ban, man and woman in Irish, you pronounce them in English and you get a completely different meaning, and actually a meaning that highlights the Irish version. Far, pronounced in English, is fear, like ogla, fear, and then ban in Irish is bean, the seed, the womb. So I just loved all these concepts of playing with the two languages. So I wanted to play with that in that format. But also, there's two very different formats of Irish now. There's the legacy Irish we have, which I represent in the play. The teacher, the strict disciplinarian, for whom Irish was laden with agendas and past hopes and past despair and poverty. And then there's the Colleen character, who has a completely different attitude to Irish. And that was what I really wanted to capture. And the Colleen, Eva, wrote a lot of that character herself, because we can't even get into that mindset, what young people see as Irish now.
Eva, you have a very, very strong and somewhat fearsome character in the play. Probably not like you in real life.
No, not a thing like me.
Oh,
no.
great.
You'd be glad to know.
You were asked, obviously, to be part of a play. What was your initial thoughts? You've just finished the leaving cert for it.
Yes, I have. All done and dusted.
How did you do in your Irish?
A1.
Oh, well.
Just useful for this.
Yeah.
Well, Manchán put a lot of ideas together, and basically he wrote the whole thing, apart from I gave the input for some of the issues that deal with whatever problems Gaeilge would have today. So that's basically, it's kind of dealing with issues that teenagers would have. A lot of them come up in the script, and essentially something happens to the Colleen, and then kind of the play is based around that, how that comes to light, and that's kind of basically done in a Mascon of English and Irish.
And you're a dancer.
Yes.
No, you dance in the play.
Well, I dance in the play. That's how I first met Manchán.
Okay.
I've danced at some of his book readings.
Right.
Manchán is a writer, and to jazz up his book readings, I and some other girls have done some interpretive dance to make it more interesting, so we kind of got to know each other that way. So.
It's the second night of previews here at Fringe. You open tomorrow until Saturday here. What was you played 2 full houses over the last night. Is it what you expected?
No, it's far more. I have never written a play before, I've never acted in a play, so I was petrified. And I didn't even mean to put on this show. I realised that it'd be interesting for someone to put on a show that was 50% in Irish, but understandable to English speakers. And I sent that vague idea into the Fringe for them to do something with in future years. And Russia just came back to me in the Fringe production crew and said, here's your week, here's your venue, do it. So I just thought, how am I going to do this? And I'd always known Eva, and I knew she was an incredible dancer. But I knew that contemporary dance is always in the mainstream; it's never used, and it actually can be a great tool for communicating. So I wanted to incorporate sort of Eva's sort of sassy attitude, but also if parts of it, I wanted actually to have more dance in the show to see could that be a way of understanding Irish concepts through dance. So the whole thing is an absolute experiment, and it would have been a failure, except that through the mercy of God, someone told me, you have to have a director. I didn't know anything about producers, stage managers, anything.
Okay.
And it was Alwyn Foray actually told me to go to Tom Creed, young, up and coming director, the director who's everywhere at the moment, part of associate director with Rough Magic. And for some ridiculous reason, he took on the job. He liked the idea of playing with the language, of doing something new with it, the sort of technical challenge. And so over about 3 months, he acted as dramaturg. He created a script from all my ramblings, and he's honed the two of us into something workable that audiences seem to relate to.
Even if you were to describe the play for people your age and who necessarily may not come to a fringe show, how would you pitch it? What would you say?
Well, all my friends were there tonight, lots of them with not any Irish at all,
okay.
and lots of them would never have attended a play before in their lives.
Right.
Some of them would, obviously, but it's very accessible. I think it's an experience. It's not straight theatre. You don't go in and sit down and listen to an hour of Shakespeare, and it's not too abstract that you're looking at them saying, when are they next going to say a line or say a word, or we're sitting in silence for the next hour. I think it's just accessible, and I think most people have done secondary school Irish to a degree and often have bad feelings about it, and it kind of plays on that, so it's kind of interesting whether or not you like Irish, you can take something from it.
And Manchán, what would you like people to leave the play feeling? That's a very tough question, but...
Yeah. There's a sort of deep and emotional story in the play, but that was only because if you have two people on stage, you need to give the audience something, you need to make them relate to the characters. For me, something that really interests me is we have this language, this albatross around our necks, and what are we going to do with it? There is something beautiful about it, and if it can be brought kicking and screaming into the modern world, where we can play with it along with English, then we can have some great fun with this old language.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very, very much, and good luck with the rest of your run.
Thank you so much.